Hello, good evening, everybody. Today we have a special guest here, Denisa Kováčová. Deniska, welcome here. And Deniska is not only a teacher, but she is known for a book which she had written. It's a book, English Stories, and it's a very popular book. I'm sure some of you already know this book. And that's not all. We will talk about much more with Deniska because she is very inspiring person for me, and I'm sure that there will be more inspiring information for you too. So Deniska, welcome here.
Thank you very much, Marika, for having me here tonight, and good evening to everyone.
Thank you. Thank you that you accepted our invitation and that we can be here with you. Deniska, can you tell us a little bit more about yourself?
Let's start with where I live. I live in the easternmost part of Slovakia in Veľké Kapušany. I'm 44 years old still.
Just like me, I'm 44.
Yes, really?
Exactly
Okay.
44 this year.
But not for too long, yeah.
Me too. It will change this year.
Okay. So I think we are at the top of our careers. Like we have achieved much,
Exactly.
but we still have a little in front of us. Yes. So that's
We
why we
still
are
have
here.
much in front of us.
Oh, thanks. Good. Let's agree with that. So my pedagogical career started in the year 2000, but it was very varied. It has been varied throughout the years because I started out as a practical lessons teacher in dressmaking. Can you imagine? I was teaching high school students, teenage girls, how to sew, how to make clothes. So that was what I started.
Quite different to teaching English.
Yeah, I had to have some pedagogical studies for that, but I simultaneously I started working in two language schools, teaching English with various age groups, except for small kids. So I really enjoyed teaching adults, even seniors, young adults, all kinds of categories. Teenagers, high school students. I also did some private tutoring in English. And then I also worked as a substitute teacher for high schools. And recently, my career changed from those adults to kids. And that's why I also joined your group, because I became very much interested in teaching kids. As we were just discussing before starting, I knew how to teach adults, and we had fantastic lessons, and everything worked very well. But as I started teaching kids, it all changed. Like I had to learn how to deal with kids. And I think that one thing that helped me with that was my own son, who is 10 years old now. So during these 10 years, I learned a lot from him and from his peers in what they are interested in, how is their childhood different from our childhood some 30 years ago. It's totally different, and you have a different attitude. You must look and teach them differently than adults and than kids when we were kids. Like
Yeah, I agree.
Yeah, and I have always had this love of English in me, even if I didn't have the opportunity to study English. Our compulsory subject was Russian, so I learned Russian, and like officially, I learned English for 2 years at a high school, where I had a very good teacher, very inspiring. And like she pushed me towards a goal, but I didn't need to be pushed to tell you, to sit for a graduation exam from English. And none of the other girls went for it because in 2 years they thought it was too much. But I said that even if I study day and night, I want to do this. And then I went higher. After graduating, I did set for a Cambridge exam. Then it wasn't enough for me. It was B2 level. I wanted to achieve higher, and I studied more, and I bought every available book, mostly secondhand, because they were
Expensive, yeah, I
too
remember.
expensive. Yes. I was self-taught, and I sat for City and Guilds expert C1. And then I also, I was thinking about opening my own language school here in Slovakia, which then I didn't realize. But for that, I needed a state exam in a Slovak like language school, C1, C2. So I also did that, and so I'm happy that I kind of climbed that ladder from the very first rung to the top, and I feel like I was born for teaching, and it's not something that you can learn. You can learn bits and pieces, but it has to be inside of you. And if you feel like teaching is also learning, I love learning. And through teaching, I always learn new things, new technology, just like today with StreamYard, new tips, new techniques, how to deal with different age groups, because each age group is really different. And I think about teaching as sowing seeds. And you never know how many seeds will fall into good soil, fruitful soil. But even after some years, some satisfied students come back to you and say that, oh, you were the one who started me on this way. It's really the best reward for a teacher.
I absolutely agree. And Deniska, you have really a big passion for English. It's so nice to be listening to you about your passion towards English. It's amazing. I wanted to ask, what was the first moment, the first thing that helped your change of students from adults to kids? I know that you learned a lot from your son, but there's the process of learning, how you did it, how you manage it. But what was that moment when you had that idea, that spark, that maybe I could try this with children?
Mhm. It wasn't my idea, actually. I lost my job and I had to look for another opportunity. I searched the internet, and I have been teaching in a small village school English, and I also work as a teacher assistant for 5 years now. So that was what I found on the internet, and I never even knew that small village had a school, So it was all new to me. And I applied for the job. I was accepted, and that's where I really started working and being among kids. And I kind of fell in love with that world, and maybe my age, because when you are younger, you're trying to be older among older people, to have your adult kind of living. And as I get older, I want fun. I want to be happy. I want to be among young,
Younger.
innocent minds. Yes.
Yeah, I absolutely agree. Absolutely agree. It's nice that sometimes uh, when we just flow in our life, that it brings us different opportunities, and when we pick the right one, we can find a new passion, just like you did. That's beautiful.
Exactly. That's exactly what happened to me. Yes, you put it very well. Like to flow with the go with the flow.
Yeah,
Yes.
beautiful, beautiful. And Deniska, I know you not only teach kids, but I know that you wrote a very special book. And I know that English stories, and I know that many teachers mentioned that book even during the last year Congress for teachers, English teachers of kids. And we'll talk about that a little bit later. But before we start talking about the book, I would like to ask you about your other experience with English, because I know that it's not only teaching where your passion is, but you have some other interesting experience. Could you tell us a little bit more about that too?
Yeah, it seems to me that I have too many things that I love in life and too little time,
But
so
that's
I
beautiful.
cannot do everything that I would wish for. But English is definitely one of my passions, and I usually say that I was born on the same day as Shakespeare. And Shakespeare's birthday is, in fact, the World English Day. So maybe that's in my DNA. I don't know.
It must be.
Must be. Yeah. So I translated some university scripts from Slovak to English. I wrote articles. So it happened during those like 22, 23 years. I hope that many of you know foreign language publications, which were magazines, English and German magazines issued in Slovakia, Friendship, Hello.
Friendship, I know. I remember that.
So I wrote articles for Friendship. I had a very good relationship with Matilda Blahova, who is the publisher. Unfortunately, she finished publishing the magazines because COVID came, and everything was so unstable. I was very sorry for that, because the last year she was publishing, I wrote a series of articles for Hello Kids, which was about a twin kids, a girl and a boy. And that's where my English stories for kids might have been started, I think. And we had some other ideas. We wanted to do comics, to write a comic, which then never happened because she finished publishing those magazines. She quit
It's
it.
shame. It was an interesting magazine.
Yeah, I have loved those. And at that time we didn't have access to internet. When I wanted to see some pictures from foreign countries, from the States, from England, that was the only source for me. And I try to keep in touch with foreigners, mostly English or American expats living in Slovakia. I am member of a discussion club, a book club, which is organized by American Spaces through Scientific Library in Košice. It's a very great experience to keep in touch, to have some cultural exchange. And I spent 1 week in England, and then this year I was so lucky to have been chosen for an international visitor leadership program, which was actually a 3-week stay in the United States. Before that, we had a 3-week online session in November, and this June we traveled to the United States. We visited 6 cities. So wow. I have never flown so much in my entire life. Washington, D.C., New York. Then we flew over to New Mexico, Santa Fe, Albuquerque, then up north to Minnesota, Minneapolis, and to Boston. And we visited, it was, the title of the program was American Language and Multicultural Diversity. And I was chosen because I really live in a multicultural environment. I teach in a Hungarian school, but we also teach Slovak. I teach English, and we teach mostly Roma kids. So,
so it's really a combination.
Yeah. And we were so lucky that we could visit all these educational institutions, schools. We even had a Harvard tour, and we visited, yes, and we visited like bilingual schools in the United States. We could see their methods, speak with the teachers, and exchange, culturally and professionally. So it really was a great experience, and one of my dreams. It wasn't even a dream, because I don't think I ever dreamt about going to the United States. I thought it was so far and so impossible for me. And this came out of the blue, this offer. So first I even wanted to turn it down, because I have a 10-year-old son who started crying, "Mom, don't go." But then I'm very happy that I could do it.
Beautiful. Very nice. Now we can see how passion for something really works, that it awards us on every possible level, but the passion is really needed, and we can feel the passion from you. And Deniska, I also promised that we will talk about your book, English Stories for Kids. So could you tell us a little bit more about this book?
Yes, of course. I'm really happy that I can show you. This is the third grade English reader. And we also have the fourth grade English reader ready right now. I'm happy to tell you that the fifth grader is already in the publishing house, and I'm working
Wow.
on the sixth grader. So, yeah,
Perfect.
we are planning to do all levels for elementary school. These are short stories because I have always had a passion for reading as well. I loved reading, but I see that today's kids prefer everything else. They are mostly on technology, and I would love to give them back passion for reading and for written word, And I have always loved colorful, beautiful textbooks, even if ours weren't as beautiful as today's textbooks, maybe. But I have always found something interesting and useful for myself in them. And as I was learning English, I always enjoyed stories. We were studying something like present perfect tense, but it sticks to you much more if it's in a story and you can relate it
Definitely,
back.
I
Or
agree. Mhm.
yeah. And COVID came, and as I mentioned, we teach marginalized children. So it was very hard to teach them from conventional textbooks. There were even times when I had to teach them through the phone. Can you imagine? Not even Messenger. Some of them
Mhm.
didn't even have Wi-Fi connection. So we always prepared every Monday, we distributed worksheets, own made worksheets, and that's when I started to write short stories with questions, with little tasks for the kids, which we knew that they could manage, both in English and in Slovak. And I really saw that that works. Only a few sentences, and I said in the phone, you have that worksheet with that little girl holding a ball. Would you please look at it and just read me what's written on it? And so those lessons were really sometimes funny, sometimes 12 other kids whining in the room and having everything, So, but we saw that that worked, that we gave them something manageable, because if they are overwhelmed with something that is too hard for them, then they throw it in the corner and they don't want to deal with them. So that's why I wrote these short texts. Really, it's one page, every a double page with a short text, comprehension questions, vocabulary, and then
Mhm.
on the next page, we have, I tried to incorporate very different kinds of exercises like word search,
Mhm.
fill in, matching, writing, coloring. Like you have a small text, maybe 3 or 4 sentences, and you have to color the picture according to it. Some easy grammar, which is not explained, but from the usage of the text, they can implement that grammar. I tried to write about kids' everyday life. As I mentioned, I got back into that beautiful world of children. And now that I work with this age group, I really see how they work. What is it that they are interested in? Uh, what they find useful or interesting, and what is needed in this world. I try to incorporate practical topics as well, like functional language, shopping, phrases for ordering food in a restaurant, or um, other topics. Like I have so
Sounds
many right now, I cannot.
sounds really amazing. And when did you publish this book, Deniska? Because you mentioned that you started writing during COVID, so it must not be that long ago that you published the book.
It was published, like I started using it from last September, so this school year. They were published approximately at the end of last year, or not last, but before last, yeah.
Before. Because the Congress was in spring 2022, last year. And I remember when we had the final workshop, you mentioned the book during it, and there were 2 or 3 people who raised their hands and said, "Oh, I've got that book." So it was already quite well known among other teachers of kids. So that's amazing that you created a book originally only for your students. You created the text and everything.
No, it was much more. It was much more like I had a few texts, but that gave me the idea. And since we were home, we did homeschooling, home teaching, online teaching. So I had a bit more time to create more of these texts, and that's how I wrote a book of text. And the publishers asked me to tear it apart into 2 and make it appropriate for the 3rd and the 4th grade. And then there were no exercises. There were just the text with the questions and the vocabulary. And then as we were discussing how to improve it, how to make it even more interesting for the kids. And then I was thinking, because my son had a reader, a Slovak reader, and they had a separate workbook for the reader. And I say, can't we make a hybrid kind of thing, like having a reader plus a workbook? So that's when I came to this idea to write exercises with the vocabulary or grammar. And what I wanted to say, like if you use it for teaching at school, or at private tutoring, or wherever the setting is, or you're just a parent who wants to teach their children, you go to contents page, which I'll show you. And we have in every text, there is some grammar point incorporated and some topic. So you can choose according to the topic or grammar what you're going to teach, and you can find the text for it.
Sounds really good. And Deniska, there might be some more people among our group of teachers who would like to maybe publish something too, have some ideas. What would you recommend to other teachers if they would like to publish a book? You have the experience, so what would you recommend?
Yes, that was my question all the time, because there was always this push in me, this spark to write. I have written other things as well, but I started to ask publishers. I sent my manuscript. So if you have something written, first you have to read a lot. That's every writer would tell you. Without reading, you cannot write. It would be very rare, I think. Then you must be original and be rare. Like however good your manuscript is, but if there's some other and many books on the topic on the market, then it will be very unlikely that you can get it to be published. Publishers are looking for something that will make money.
Yeah,
yes,
I understand.
So many times they wrote me, this is not bad, this is really good, but actually, or you send it, you must know which publishing house to send it, because some of them are publishing like children's fiction, some textbooks, some adult fiction, and it really matters. If you send it to the wrong publishers, they won't be interested, because that's not in their plan. So you have to communicate with the publishers, ask about your manuscript, how they see it. But I must tell you that some of them won't even answer you, won't even read your manuscript. So you have to go through it all and not give up. You cannot say that, oh, they didn't even answer, so let it be. No, you have to go for it, and try it again, and you fall and stand up and do it again.
And you
So
go again.
be persistent. Yeah.
Yeah. Okay. Thank you. That's very inspiring. I'm sure that we might have here in our group some people who have good ideas, but the idea of the process that you are describing, that you are sending, you are communicating, and so on, it might be quite exhausting, I would say, and
If you don't
not
have that passion for writing, and one more thing that I have to say, if you want to do it for money, don't, because you will never get rich by publishing something. So that wasn't my motivation. I wrote it because I wanted to give something to many kids throughout Slovakia, and I'm very happy that I can tell you that these we have made a few small changes for the books, so they will be distributed in Hungary. They will have a Hungarian version and a Czech version. And
wow.
if there is someone here from Hungarian schools in Slovakia, they will be offered for Hungarian schools in Slovakia as well, so you can use it. And they have been approved by the Ministry of Education, so you can buy it for that money that the ministry provides for buying textbooks for schools. So that's one point that is really important. Yeah.
Perfect. Sounds amazing. I'm very happy to have you here, Deniska, and to be able to discuss it with you, and by that inspire other people not to be afraid and go for their aims and goals. Sounds
And
really,
dreams,
really
yes,
nice
yes.
what you achieved. Wow. Congratulations.
Thank you very much. And I must say that that's why I join groups like yours and many others. I have attended many webinars because some people say, you mustn't overload yourself as a teacher. That's too bad. But on the other side, on the other hand, if you have many ideas, you can choose what best works for you. And that's where I got from every webinar, from every session, I gained something which I can incorporate into my work or writing yeah. And like you asked about the process, it is pretty long to write a book because, okay, you have the manuscript, you send it to a publisher. I must say that I sent it to Slovenský Komenský competition.
Institute competition?
No, it was published in Tactic. Can you see it? I hope you know this publishing house, which publishes textbooks. But they had written a competition like Slovenský Komenský, but that would have been ironic if I won with an English book at Slovenský Komenský. But they said that even if I didn't win, they would love to publish it because as I said, it's original. Like we haven't had English readers on the Slovak market before. And I think that was the idea in it. That's why they found it interesting, because we have many textbooks, Oxford, Macmillan, Cambridge, which are very good, but we didn't have our own and in the form of readers.
Yeah.
and
short stories.
Yes.
Yeah.
And so it was really, you get your feedback, which can take months, to have some answer from a publisher. Then there's proofreading, all kinds of language corrections. Then there's graphic design. You don't know how much time I spent with. We have beautiful illustrations in the book.
Yeah, I've seen. They are beautiful.
Yeah, which is not my work. That's the graphic designer's work, who I'm sure doesn't speak English, because there were so many things in it which, like, the picture didn't match the story, and I always, I had to write back and fro to, like, please change this because this doll cannot have brown hair because the story says it's blonde hair.
Yeah.
So and any other corrections and recordings, because every story is recorded.
Mm-hmm.
You have a QR code. I
Mm-hmm.
hope it's visible.
Yes, it
And
is.
and the children can listen to every story, which was recorded by children. So
Wow, that sounds
yeah.
nice. Mhm. Perfect. Deniska, thank you very much for all the inspiring information. And I would like to ask, do you have any message, any advice for our teachers here?
Mm. Yes, if you are really a teacher from the heart, never get tired of teaching. It's hard, but rewarding. And I would say teachers are somehow overloaded today with all that paperwork and such. But I think you can choose how much energy you put into paperwork and how much into real teaching. So I would neglect paperwork a little bit rather. Um, as I said, don't overload yourself, because you cannot burn the candle on both ends. Uh, yes, we only have one life, so you must recharge just like a battery. And as I said, I have tried many things, but you don't have to try everything, I think. Today, there's so much technology, so many methods, and sometimes teachers don't even know which one to use because they are overloaded with everything. But no, you can pick something which works for you or for your students mostly, and stick to that. And you can have one change per maybe 6 months or 3 months, and you don't have to do everything, because sometimes I fall into that trap
Trip?
that I try to do too much, and I am interested in everything, and then no, I don't have two lives, so I must fit
Yeah,
everything into one.
true. So we have to
Yeah.
be careful with our energy and decide what is important at that moment. Yeah, absolutely agree. Thank you,
Yeah,
Deniska, for
and to
your
take
time.
care. Yeah, and
And
to take care of
yes,
yourself, and like enjoy your lessons, because I think that a teacher must be a little bit of a showman. If you just if the students see you as a teacher, that's one thing. But if the students look at you as someone who they feel good with, or in your company, then I'm sure that they will learn much easier, and your work will be easier. So even with
definitely
these
agreed.
stories, I don't give them to read it. No, I'm the showman. I play the story for them. I involve them. So it's like a little dramatized session, and then they enjoy it. And then I am amazed how they can read it afterwards without even seeing the text for the first time, because we have played it. So
Yes, thank you very much, Deniska. It was very inspiring. And as Deniska already said, we as teachers, we must think about all different areas to be able to handle and still think about our energy and take care of ourselves. And that's why I would like to officially invite you to the second edition of Congress for teachers who teach kids English. Last year we had the first round of the Congress in May, and this year it's going to be in March. And again, it will cover all different categories like taking care of yourself, and we will be talking about teaching methodological stuff like creating lessons, activities, different topics. We will talk about emotions and kids, how to work with them. We'll talk about cooperation with parents. We will also talk about business, how to start a business as a teacher. So it will be 5 different areas. There will be 6 different guests. We will interview them, and I'm sure it will be very inspiring and very fulfilling days that will help you again get the motivation and the energy for your job. So about the interview with Deniska, I will put a link where you can register for the Congress. And I hope that you enjoyed interview with Deniska as much as I did, because it was very inspiring for me. And Deniska, thank you very much. And I wish you that this passion that you have, that it will stay with you, and that you will write many more books for our kids, because it's an amazing job that you did. And thank you.
Thank you very much, Marika. Thank you for inviting me and for the opportunity that I could share my passion with you. Yes. And hopefully when we meet together someday, maybe even in person, we can all learn from each other, because through teaching,
Absolutely.
we learn, and from each other, we also learn. Yes, everyone has good ideas. Yeah.
I agree.
And I will be happy to I'll be happy to attend your Congress again, just like I did last year, which was really enjoyable and also inspiring, and giving us new ideas.
I'm very happy that you will join, and I'm also looking forward to it, because it's an inspiring event for me too. It always gives me energy, so I'm very happy that you are going to join us. Thank you. Have a great evening, everyone, and see you soon.
Bye-bye.